interesting car that showed up today. This is a Prelude, not the Prelude. Sorry guys, we're not there yet. This is a project car that someone bought, and they bought it, they got it home. Their buddies and them decided to look it over and, get assessing on what needed to be done. And they assessed that they didn't want to do it. So they brought it here. We're going to, one, see if it runs because they don't know. Two, we strewn about. I know there's stuff from other cars back there, but we have a timing belt and water pump kit. I hope there's a balance shaft belt in here. There is. Okay. AC compressor that was just sitting on the driver floorboard. This alternator that was in the trunk. This alternator that was in this new alternator box. Duralast spark plug wires. I think they're new. We'll see if they're the correct ones. Serpentine belts. A valve cover gasket that won't be going back on. Dipstick tube. AC line. Is the reservoir over there? Where's the coolant reservoir? All right, we gotta find the coolant reservoir. These are a lot of the bolts that were on the floorboard in the driver's seat. A engine mount. And then the engine bay, which there's still more stuff in the car. We didn't actually take everything out of it. It's just kind of taken apart. The engine is actually resting on the compressor mount. And so essentially, we're going to be taking this apart, and then we're also going to be cataloging things that he should get on top of us doing this. He did say that he hoped that the repair bill didn't go too high, because I guess it has a lot of nice aftermarket parts and however he's going with it. But with something like this, we just never know, because I don't know what we're getting into.
Shit better be running by lunchtime.
I got a little bit of stuff taken off. We're going to pop the water pump off. But at least from what I could tell, there's a few issues that we need to figure out. One being, where's the crank pulley? And two, I need to find all of the bolts because everything was loose up here. So I really hope that the crank pulley didn't fall off the car when he towed it down from Phoenix, however long ago that was. And the only reason that I think that the crank pulley fell off while they towed it was it might have been on there, and the crank bolt was on the floor inside the car. So there's that. And then someone previously had put a lot of RTV on the crank threads. We did also check the VIN on this. They're similar, but they're different. So this is an engine from a different car. However, I don't know. I mean, the cylinder head might be from the original one and the block is from whatever car it actually came out of. Just because, yeah, that's probably one of the dirtiest. I have seen a dirtier cylinder head than that, but that's one of the dirtiest ones I've ever seen in my life. We've kind of decided that I'm going to get this timing belt stuff sorted out, and then before we go any further on putting everything together, that is when we're going to turn it on and see if it starts. And then hopefully it just starts and it doesn't have rod knock or sound like shit or any of that other shit. And then I can worry about putting on the accessories and the radiator and whatever nonsense there is going on with it. But I think that's kind of the telltale sign, because I was also told that he would like to keep it under X amount. So that will restrict a lot of stuff that we can actually do to this. So we're going to do timing belt. Hopefully everything works there, and then we can go up from there so that he can also be happy that the car he bought actually runs and doesn't need an engine. Ooh. Did you get a shot of that color? Oh, it's been sitting for a while. There's a rust line in the water pump. I think someone put RTV on it. I'm gonna raise it up so we can actually see. Ew. Yeah, someone put RTV on it. Don't do that. If you ever do a water pump and it has a little rubber O-ring gasket, don't put RTV on it. If you do, you're a hack. The O-ring's supposed to seal. If it doesn't seal, you got another problem. Fix it. So I know we looked at it when we looked at the rust line, but all of this crud, corrosion, whatever you want to call it, shit sitting here, that whiter stuff. So all of that stuff reminds me of a certain video that we did just not too long ago. The link will be here, but that looks like Blue Devil. So hopefully it just looks like it and it's not. But if there's Blue Devil in this, revert to last video. After seeing everything that we saw behind the water pump and cleaning that up for the new water pump, I decided that it might be best to call him and try to get maybe a little bit more background on this to see if the guy said something about, that he bought it from, said something about it overheating at all. And to tell him the potential bad news, because if Blue Devil's in there, pretty much just means that it was overheating and most likely is a head gasket. That and also the oil seals all under here should be changed because they're leaking. And then we're also here, so why not do it? The last thing would be to ask him if he knows where the crank pulley is, because we still don't. All right, so I got off the phone with the guy, and we're going to see what happens. So I told him about the possibility of Blue Devil in there, and the guy never mentioned anything about any kind of overheating with it. I did find the crank pulley, so good news there. But yeah, I'm gonna. I cleaned up the water pump surface. We're gonna put this together, get the timing on, and then we're gonna turn it on, and we're going to see if we have any weird noises. Because after we make sure there's no weird noises with it, then we're gonna put the radiator in and we're going to see if it overheats. And then after that, hopefully we have some good news. We'll find out. There we go. This is a new tool of mine, so pardon me. Oh, look at that. That's so nice. This is a Lyle something or other. We can put the part number in the description. Yeah, that was fucking amazing. Highly recommended. Yeah, I mean, it's designed to reach in and hook something. And then this is a thing to pry it against it. Because I'm sure if you've ever used a brain pick, half the time you can't get that giant ass thing in anywhere near that it would work. And two, the point of the brain pick is too thick to go inside of a seal like this. So that just kind of twists in there and then pulls on it. And when you pry it, just yanks it out in the direction it's supposed to. So, I mean, it's not easy sliding it in there, but it's so much better than the other way of doing it. Oh, fuck. Beautiful. All right, we have the belts on, so I'm just going to kind of makeshift put things back together. One reason being that I've only found one valve cover bolt, so they're somewhere, I hope. And we also want to make sure that the engine is worth working on. So I'm going to bolt this up. I'm going to shove the dipstick in and see if we have oil, because we might not. So we're not going to turn it on without oil. I don't know if the fuel pump works. This Renault battery probably won't work like most Renaults. And then we'll just see how it goes. Well, the fuel pump turns on. All right, let's try the jump pack. All right. Attempt number 2. All right, it sounds good. Now we can start putting a lot of the other stuff together.
Just didn't. It wanted to run.
Yeah, so he's gonna be happy. That sounded great. So in the scheme of purchasing project cars, just know that project cars don't ever fall under a quote unquote budget. You're just at the whim of whatever person will say before you had the car and hope that everything's there. In this car's case, we don't have everything. There's 5 valve cover grommets missing. I can't find them. I put the nuts on there because we don't want to lose the nuts, and it actually has all of them, which is not very common for old Hondas that are torn apart. We're missing a very important bolt for the alternator. I think we said it had 2 old alternators with it. I was wrong. It had 1 alternator with it that was old and 1 alternator for something else. I don't know what it's for. There's a few other things that I gotta find for it. I'm gonna tell him that the AC probably shouldn't be charged because the compressor was just sitting open and the lines were also just sitting open. So things need to be at least changed, and I wouldn't trust the compressor. If he wants to, that's fine, but if it blows up, he needs a new system anyways. And then once I get I'm gonna look for the bolt for this, for the alternator, because we do need it. So I want to find a bolt for him in our bolt bin if he's lucky. If not, I'm not gonna put the alternator on because it's an alternator. It needs to be mounted properly. And then we'll put the radiator in if I can't find the alternator stuff, or if I can, we'll put the radiator in and we're gonna see if this has a blown head gasket, because it will be kind of obvious if it does. So I'm gonna go back to the bolt bin, and yeah, hopefully we have a bolt for that alternator, which we might, never know. You want to go get the head gasket tester? I don't know. That still doesn't look good to me. Everything is together. It ran for a good while. We had a fan on it because the fans don't work, and I will not hook this back up. So needs to figure out how the fans, or why the fans aren't working, or he can hook up it in a horrible way. However, it was still bubbling and stuff. We tested it with the head gasket fluid. We didn't see any kind of exhaust coming through there, or hydrocarbons going through the radiator system, so that's a good sign. We put the cap on it, and then after it ran for a little bit, I was like, okay, the temperature's fine. I turned the key off, and then I hear what sounds like leaking, and so I look in there, and from back here, I see a solid stream coming out from behind the water pump. It's really hard for you to see down there, but trust me, it was there. I waited, and luckily it wasn't actually coming from behind the water pump. It was coming from the heater hose, and it was spraying at the block at the back of the water pump. Because if it was at the back of the water pump, the block would be cracked, and I don't know what else to do there. But it's just a heater hose. However, I think for this guy, we are out of money, but I think he can handle a heater hose on his own. So I'm gonna call him, tell him what's going on with it, tell him the fans aren't working and they need to be figured out because I won't hook that up. Alternator works, timing works, cooling system, we don't have a blown head gasket as far as we can tell. Just needs a heater hose and the fans. And then hopefully, you know, he can be driving shortly after that. But rethink a project car. That's all I'm saying.